desire this offseason to not only flip the roster youth-wise, but flip Biggs to wings potentially?
Yeah, it's finally we get to analyze the roster and whether it was good or not. I always want to end like we did, but it's always it's imperfect. Even finishing with a sweep in the finals, you always look back and say, what could we have done differently? I think because we have we don't have the ability to pay a lot to the center position. We have limited resources because our other players make money, so we had to kind of patchwork that position together. We'll see what we have to do for next year. I like that Steve and I talked this morning. We ended up using all 12 of our centers. 6, I think. But hopefully we can see what happens with McCaw, who we end up drafting. But yeah, we'll always look to see what we can do and maybe give us more depth at the wing spot, guard spot. We'll see what happens in a few weeks.
In your mind, is it harder to maintain a championship caliber roster than even to build one?
I think they're both are pretty hard. I think it feels easier on the ascent. As you climb up, you don't really know. You hope, and you can dream of a championship looking back 4 years, but trying to maintain it has a different type of perseverance, a different type of grit, and for those of you that were there 4 years ago, just I was commenting the flight back. Was it Saturday? Contrasted that with the flight back from Cleveland 4 years ago. Guys were sleeping. Guys were. There was no talk of going to Vegas. It was a much more subdued group, but also a very fulfilled group, a very gratified group. As far as the first one was so much different as far as exuberance, and you can contrast that with building a roster. Maintaining has a different type of energy and work that goes into it.
Bob, with everything the team went through this year, and the obvious challenge of motivation this year, is it possible this was Steve's best job as a coach and the staff's best jobs in your time here?
I think he does a great job every year. Yeah, but I think I said to a few people, you couldn't locate or find a better individual, I think, on the planet to navigate a team trying to get to the finals for the fourth year. One, because of who he is and his entire makeup. It makes him unique, all his talents. He checks so many boxes, but also he played and tried and did win 3 championships on the same team. So he knows firsthand, and that's something he constantly conveyed to myself, to the organization, to the players throughout the year. This is going to be the most challenging year. It does, and I read some things he said. It doesn't mean that you can, even knowing that doesn't help you through it. It helps you a little bit, but he was great with our team all year, passing that message along.
When did he first mention that, hey, this is going to be tougher? Was it when you were in the midst of the injuries bug, or?
Probably a year ago today after we'd won it. He said this coming year, and he probably is saying it now. I don't know what he said to you guys, but I think next year is going to be harder than this year to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So, yeah, he knew it right away. There's a reason why you don't see a ton of back-to-back champions. You certainly see less back-to-back-to-back. So many factors go into that, trying to keep a team together, trying to stay healthy, the mental fatigue. It's exhausting in some respects, not just for the players, but for the whole organization.
Steve's West comments kind of gained some traction about how we blow our minds and some of the stuff going on behind the scenes. To you, was there anything abnormal about the adversity you guys faced?
No, I don't think there's anything to that nature. Clearly there was things here or there, but not. I wouldn't characterize it that way, I should say. But certain challenges, some were apparent, some not. But yeah, I wouldn't put it that way. But he's certainly free to put it that way if he wants to.
I think you said that just to kind of troll us.
No, I mean it's everybody's a different perspective on things, so I don't know. I mean, I was right next. I was near him when I heard that, and it took me a second to process what it was, but I actually had to ask him. But yeah, don't worry about other stuff. Is my advice. Focus on other things.
Steve's one of 6 NBA coaches in history now with 3 or more championships, and when you look at the others, like Red Auerbach and Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, they're kind of these outsized personalities and maybe even egos. How does Steve do it with his, sort of humble, deferential persona?
Well, he doesn't have a lot to. I mean, like everybody's free to. Those people you mentioned were successful beyond measure. And so I think what makes Steve and those guys is great coaches is that they projected who they were. And Steve Kerr is an authentic, humble guy, wasn't a star of any team, has worked very hard, has accomplished great things, has had to persevere to get there. And I think when you look at a modern player, they want a coach that they feel like is putting his ego aside and helping them achieve their goals. And Steve, for a coach to walk in the locker room armed with 5 championships, I think the team's well aware that he's got a lot more rings than they do as a player. But now he's charged with helping them obtain their goals. And I think that's what players get behind him, or that's why they get behind him. And it's an unbelievably effective thing to do, to walk in the locker room with that kind of credibility, and then to just be the person he is, just adds to it. And I'm sure if you're around our players and talk to them, they make no bones about it. They love playing for him, and they love going through this journey with him.
How crucial is that 28th overall pick to hit on somebody that can maybe help next year?
Well, yeah, it's big for us because we just don't have a lot of vehicles to add players as far as financial or cap space or even the non-taxpayer mid-level things that you'd normally have. We don't have. We do have a draft pick, and so we're looking for a guy that can play, which is a little unusual. We're going to need to have guys that can go out there and give us minutes. Who that guy will be, I don't really know. But I think every team tries to get every pick right. Maybe there's more pressure if you know that guy's going to be needed. So we'll see. I think we've bought second-round picks. We've seen guys in the rotation, so hopefully we can, our scouts, Larry Harris, who leads that, does a great job of identifying a group of guys, and hopefully one of them that we like will be there.
Joe's center about wanting to extend Draymond and play for obvious reasons, but how imminent do you sense that happening in conversations?
Imminent, not today, not tomorrow. But yeah, sure, guys have proven that they can win, so you want to keep that group together. I have no idea how that'll play out. It's a lot of different conversations that have to take place, and if that's something that we want to look into, I'm sure we can have those. Both of them. Clay's got another year. Draymond's got 2 more. Kevin's really the free agent we have to focus on. I think that'll go fine. So when we get to that point, hopefully we can all collaborate and do what makes sense for us and them and respect what they've done.
Bob, it's a great problem to have, but you touched on this. When you go all the way to the end, and the expectation is if you don't win the whole thing, it's a disappointing year. How hard is that to kind of get everybody motivated again when camp opens and say that finish line's way out there, but it's what we're striving for again?
Well, it's a high class problem, but it is a reality that again, the first one probably is chased with the most hunger, but Steve said this, the first one may be the hardest because you don't know if you can do it. So having accomplished that, and now for guys having to accomplished it 3 times, I think what keeps you coming back is greed and that feeling of how great it felt Friday night to win. That's powerful. Is that as powerful as wanting the initial one? I don't know. I don't play, but I do sense that the guys that it's a different appreciation. I don't know how to characterize it. This is probably not a great example, but if you have children, you do remember your first one, that miracle of it, and then your second and third, you love them just as much, but it's a different type of experience. Not less meaningful, but you just process it differently. So I think for our guys, I don't see them or that hunger diminishing to try and do it again. If it's in there, it's in there, and whether you see it or not clearly, I mean, people know Draymond's competitiveness. Steph Curry is one of the most competitive people. Steve Kerr, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. These guys, that's not going to change. Their level of competitiveness. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, all these guys going down the line. That's what keeps it moving in the right direction, and I don't see that going away.
Kevin has obviously kind of made it clear that he plans to come back, but how about the length of the contract? How big of a negotiation point do you think that'll be?
Whatever he wants. Sometimes you don't negotiate.
Is your desire to get it as?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have him for 10 years. But Kevin Durant, look what he did for us last year. I mean, he did us a great service, so he's earned the right to sign whatever deal he wants, and I just want him to sign a deal. But want him to be happy and want him to know that we want him as long as he wants to be here. He's earned that. to kind of lay out the terms.
Do you just smack max years, max money on the table and say you decide?
Whatever he wants. Now, he can do whatever he wants. I mean, he's, like I said, that shouldn't be a long negotiation. But our goal, to be honest, is to try to keep the whole thing together. So that's the pieces of the puzzle we got to try to figure out.
Bob, how tough a year was this for Steph? I mean, he's obviously missed more games than he has in many years. To be back and then hurt again and back again. How did he sort of weather that? And it seems like his personality, his demeanor, the calmness sort of helped guide him through all that. And in the end, obviously comes back and makes a big impact in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's unfortunately been through the highs and lows of being injured. In some ways, I think this time, and I don't know if you've asked him, but it does bring back that appreciation for just playing basketball in the game. And when you're injured and you can't play, sometimes in the course of what we're trying to do in the fourth year, it reminds you that it can just be about playing basketball. It doesn't have to be about the expectations. It doesn't have to be about the goals, the fulfillment. It just can be, I just love playing basketball and I can't play right now. And I think for him, it was a moment to pause. Not that he doesn't have that drive, but to say, man, I miss this. And I think maybe that helped him kind of get back and play as well as he did. He had a great playoffs, and obviously he's in a great spot. I mean, the guy's a 3-time champion, and we talked. There was a period about 5 or 6 years ago where he had just had his ankle surgery, and I saw him down in L.A., and we talked about that after we won the other night. And I said, remember we were at Casa del Mar, and I talked about him, and I said, you have to be a leader for this team. And neither of us had any sense of what was coming, but he's certainly been that and more for this whole organization.
How long when you hear the term dynasty, is there pride or pressure?
Disbelief. I grew up here. No, I can't really say that a word. When I hear that, for me, a more appropriate reaction is the 49ers. That was kind of what the dynasty I grew up watching. These things are hard to measure in the present. Maybe that's my own problem, but I don't get mad if people want to say that, but I'm not going to say that because I think you look back and define a team more than you can in the moment.
Bob, obviously the marketplace is always a factor in free agency, but just when you're looking at players, how they perform this season, how they kind of fit in what your vision is, what do you make of the pending free agents with McCall, Looney, McGee, Zaza, and David West? Yeah, this market will be different for a variety of reasons. I don't know. I mean, I don't really. Usually, when you attempt to predict free agency and what the value of each player is, you're often wrong. I mean, there's certain guys you can peg and have an idea of their value, but it takes one team sometimes. There's been times where I've thought guys would get paid and they didn't. Thought guys wouldn't and they did. I experienced that as an agent. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. Sometimes you're sitting there at the end of July and you were the second choice of 4 teams and now you're staring at a less than market deal. So, what we do is on our side is target the positions we need, look at our resources, look at our total financial picture, and make the best choices. But you never really get exactly what you want. And so you just have to be fluid. You have to understand there's going to be a lot of different variables and do your best.
Bob, you were obviously candid about Kevin's impact a few months ago. I mean, he's only been here for half of this 4-year run. How much did your team change? How much did the vibe, the texture of the team change 2 years ago when he got here?
We got a lot more talented. I've said this before. Wherever Kevin went was going to benefit. One, because of his talent. 2, because of his kind of selflessness. He fit in. Never needed to be anything more than just a teammate. And the beauty of that is he ends up with a couple Finals MVPs. I don't think he chased those awards. I don't think he pounded his chest, and I think he just all along wanted to be a part of something, and specifically us, and that's why I think he made the leap to come. But I think the thing that he enjoys the most, and we benefit from, is he's just a good guy, and he likes playing for Steve. He likes playing with his teammates, and you don't get to play in the NBA that long. And for a guy like him, I'm sure he wants to and wanted to put his best years in a place and hopefully succeed. And it's actually working out for him. And we're the beneficiaries of having a wonderful player. Our fans, just forget about winning or losing, just getting to watch him play, watch Steph Curry, watch all our guys. It's a real treat. I mean, it's a treat for our community.
Steve talked about the confidence of the team grew once Kevin arrived. That in retrospect, you guys were vulnerable before he got here. Did you feel vulnerable?
I feel vulnerable all the time. We were vulnerable in Houston for Game 7. I mean, we're not. I don't know. I guess I feel more vulnerable, maybe in the role I'm in. But it's a very thin line between winning and losing. It may not look like it, but yeah, I think what Kevin does simply is, for any team, ours included, he increases your margin for error. You can play sometimes imperfect with a guy like him and win. And this league is so competitive that that's a luxury. You know, this is a league where if you don't play well or play your best, you lose 90% of the time. But Kevin gives you the ability to maybe have a B game and come away with a win, and that's hard to find.
Is there any fear that Kevon Looney put himself in a position where you aren't going to really be able to afford him this offseason? Is there any regrets about maybe not picking up his option in October?
I don't know. I mean, you have to make the decisions that we make based on the information you have. You'd probably, you know, the way I view his performance is I'm thrilled. I'm actually thrilled. We love to be proven wrong. The fact that he started in the Western Conference Finals is fantastic, and he helped us win a championship. So that you could look at it two ways. You could look at it, wow, maybe we got that pick right. You know, to get the 30th pick usually doesn't start in the Western Conference Finals. Jordan Bell, a second-round pick, doesn't play in the NBA Finals. So sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you look back and say, I would have done something differently. We'll make more mistakes. Hopefully we'll get some things right. But I think the only time of the year where you actually can let yourself feel good is when you win the championship. And then you're not too self-critical. But, yeah, we always try to learn from things we may or may not have done differently.
Bob, what's your sense of order of things pertaining to Steve's extension? Is that something like before draft free agency or after all that?
Whenever he wants to start, we'll figure it out. I mean, I think the nice thing is that we've developed a camaraderie, and he feels like he wants to be here. We want him here. We'll work it out. I mean, I think it's not, if it happens later, it won't be because it was put to the side. It'll just be because organically it didn't happen. But it's going to happen, and we could start whenever we want, and whenever he feels comfortable beginning.
What would it mean to have KD get out in front of it and say, I plan on returning, get out in front of it and tell you that?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than him saying he's not coming back. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm naive, but I never felt like he was leaving. I got asked that question a lot, which I was a little surprised, but I thought he was happy. I'm glad he said that. We want him to be happy. But yeah, I felt validation, however you hear it, is good. But I think he's enjoyed his time here, and certainly it's been great for us and great for him, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Last question? Is that it? Great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.